Hey everyone, welcome back to another lightning talk. This is a midweek special with a guest who is well known in the careers world. Today we're going to be in conversation with Jessica Pieri, who is a careers advisor and the founder of the Careers People. And I'm joined today again by my co-founder Ryan Green. How are you, Ryan?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Zach. Interested to hear what Jessica's got to say about careers and kind of employer engagement and getting all these youngsters into successful roles and inspiring them to get into successful roles. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Fantastic. Likewise, yeah. I mean, Jessica has been recommended by some former guests, so I did reach out to her and put it to her. And, thankfully she's agreed to join us today. So, how are you, Jessica?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Zach. I was worried you were going to say that and then big me up, and now I've got into before we've even started.
No pressure. No, I'm sure. I know people are excited for this one because, as I say, yeah, you've been recommended to us. People have really advocated and spoke highly of what you're doing because I know the work you are doing with the careers people and obviously as a professional careers advisor. You're giving a lot of careers advice and guidance to young people, but you're doing that in a way with marketing. Could you just tell our listeners in terms of what your background is and the company you have set up and what the work
Yeah,
that you do entails?
Yeah, so my background is what we call industry side. So careers advisors come from usually one of two places. Either they've worked in a school and then they qualify to give careers advice, or they're from industry like I am. So before I joined the education world, I used to work as a recruiter, a trainer, and I looked after an apprenticeship program for a digital marketing agency. And it was at that point when I was looking after the apprenticeship program and working with a lot of students that were school leaver age that I was like, I can really make a difference here. I really like this age where sort of the whole world is their oyster, but there's so many options and where do they go and what do they do? And so that's when I made the strategic career move, if you like, to qualify as a careers advisor and seek out a role within a school that I did, and then moved into, it was a sixth form school, so working with mainly students in year 11 and year 13, providing one-to-one careers guidance. And as I started to do that, there were these challenges that I saw quite a few different schools were facing. And that's where the careers people came from, because I created a range of products that basically overcame that challenge. And then because loads of other schools were experiencing that challenge, it grew quite quickly because it sort of was a quick win, an easy solution to help their careers program and therefore help their students.
Oh, brilliant! I mean, yeah, it's great to hear that you've kind of come from a marketing background, and certainly the recruitment world. You've spotted that opportunity there. But in terms of like bringing it to kind of current day, what does the average week look like for you? Then, are you doing a lot of careers guidance on a one-to-one basis, or are you doing stuff on a broader scale across schools as well?
Yeah, so it's a real mixture. So I've actually had a bit of a break. I've been off on maternity leave, and just this September, so last month, I've gone back to one-to-one guidance work after taking last academic year off. So I'm working in two different schools now. So I work 2 days a week doing one-to-one career guidance. And then the rest of the week, I am basically working on the marketing of the business, basically. So we've created these, what I believe to be fantastic products now. They solve a challenge, they help careers professionals working in schools, and they also obviously help the students because they're at the centre of everything we do. And now it's like, right, the products exist, everything's in place. We've learned from feedback over the last few years from the schools that we're working with. How do we now get these products in front of the schools to say, are you experiencing this challenge? If so, we've got products to overcome that. So it's exploring all the different ways that you can access schools. I live in London, so it's I guess easy for schools in London because I can go and I can speak to them and I can join the careers hub meetings and have those conversations. But the products that we have are open to schools nationally. So it's actually trying to reach people all across the UK and just sharing with them the products that we have. And to be honest with you, once I've had that initial conversation, it's, I guess, what we call an easy sell because they need it. And because they need it, it therefore, we've priced it at a price that is affordable for most schools, despite the fact budgets are, pretty much non-existent. And so, yeah, the marketing bit is the biggest bit that I'm working on at the moment because the product's there, it's priced correctly, it's just now getting it in front of them so that they know of its existence.
Right. And what's the alternative for schools currently? I mean, what are they using if they're not, working with you to support their careers programs?
So it's very varied from one school to the next. So, for example, one of the products that we offer is a school branded newsletter. So I create it each week, and it's full of opportunities from like universities, employers, all the good stuff that students can access. It's on this newsletter. And then what happens is we have about 150 schools signed up to it now. So we copy it across the school's branding. So it's not branded as the careers people, it's branded entirely as the school. And the email address, the sort of contact us if you need help at the bottom, is the careers professional in the school's email address. So that school branded newsletter arrives in the inbox of the careers professional, and they then send it out to their stakeholders. So if they're not using our product, they're usually creating that newsletter themselves, which is really time consuming to go and to find all the opportunities and to format it. And, not all careers advisors or careers professionals want to format things and make things look pretty and do all that bit, because it's not their thing. They want to be helping the students. So I guess the alternative is they do it themselves and have their own internal processes.
So you're really kind of doing this kind of communications, content production piece, and making it scalable. So like you said, they can, people can get this and they can copy and paste it and kind of make it their own, essentially. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I know you've had Jade on the show before, and we actually make it on campus. So when the schools receive it, they can have it as a PDF. So for people that don't want to edit it, they download the PDF, they send it out, easy. For schools that do want to edit it, they get their Canva link, and then they can add internal events, things that are happening locally to them. So it's the information in there is national rather than regional. So if they want to add more regional stuff, they can do that themselves before they send it out.
All right. Okay. That's pretty cool.
It sounds brilliant. I mean, that it really resonates with stuff we're doing on the marketing side to the marketing comms community, and creating that economy of scale where stuff can be done in a really efficient way. Yeah, so hats off to you on that, because I think it's from what you're saying there, it's clearly taking away a lot of time pressure that people don't necessarily have, and alleviating pain points, which I'm guessing allows them then to spend more time with the students or doing other things that will add value as well.
Yeah, that's it. So there's no point all of us sitting in schools every week and making a newsletter that ultimately says the same thing. And we're all sitting there, we're all making it, and we're all spending a couple of hours on it. What makes sense is for one person, and in this product, in this instance, me, to make that newsletter and then share it at a price that's affordable. And actually, I think it works out like £5, 12p a week if you purchase the newsletter that we create. And the amount of time it would take a careers professional in a school, it's actually more cost effective. Do you know what I mean? It costs more in time than it does the £5, 12p a week.
Yeah, it's a really good breakdown on the numbers of that when your time is money. So
yeah, and like you say, in the hour they're making the newsletter, they can then be doing an additional one-to-one that week and helping a young person and really making, I guess, more or a different kind of impact by having that meeting and putting their time where it's best spent for their setting.
Brilliant, yeah, completely agree. I'm sold on it. I'm going to take a bit more of a deeper look on that product, and if you're watching, go out, have a look at the Careers People website and sign up yourself. But just in terms of your broader product offer, you've also got the Careers Circle. Can you tell ourselves and listeners about that?
Yeah, so one of the big things, and any person that works in careers or even maybe just in a school will know this, is that the careers role in a school is a really isolating position because you're the only person that does that job. There's usually only one person in the careers team, unless maybe you're in a bigger college or sixth form setting. And so you're doing all your work, and there's a lot involved. You're arranging events, you're doing one-to-ones, all of those things, but there's not really a huge amount of support because no one else really understands what you're doing. And so it's just nice to have this online space that we've created. It's called the Careers Circle, where people can come together and just talk. So we do things like we have a virtual weekly coffee. So we all just come together, half an hour on a Monday. It's online, obviously, and we all just chat about what we're planning to do that week, what things are going well. If someone needs help with something, then we can share ideas and collaborate on things and just make sure that there's an element of togetherness. So when people are experiencing something in their day-to-day work and they're like, haven't really got anyone to talk to, they can make a note of it, and in the next virtual coffee they can bring it up and they can say, what can I do? How can I help this student? Or, how can I get more employers involved in this thing that I'm arranging? We also have like these discussion circles on there. So within the careers circle, there are different circles that people can join that are things like new to role or freelance advisors or working with SEND students. So you can sort of personalize your experience on there based on what you want to hear about. So you can just sign up to the things that you want to hear about. And then what else? We've just started running training on there. So we have outside organizations it's meant to be bi-monthly, but we've had so much interest in people running sessions, they seem to be happening monthly, but that's okay. Sessions where outside people come and provide us with training. So for example, a couple of weeks ago, we had the Charlie Waller Trust do a session on mental health. And if students are struggling with their mental health, how can we overcome that as a careers advisor if it comes up as a barrier within a meeting? So that was fantastic. And then the next thing we're launching as part of the online space are what we're going to be calling Let's Launch events. So rather than outside organizations training us, it's going to be members of the community sharing and training each other ultimately on things that they run. So for example, it might be let's launch work experience. And then all the schools that want to launch work experience but don't even really know where to start can watch the event that's going to be run by someone who is experienced, who's got a really good work experience program that's been running for a couple of years, and just learn from them and just creating that sense of togetherness and engagement and support for each other.
Wow, it sounds like a great platform. Sorry, Ray.
Yeah, and just how are you just generally, I mean, more, just for our listeners, can you give a bit more of a broader picture around kind of what careers looks like and how employers are engaging and the kind of role of UCAS and, all of that lot? Because, I mean, we've obviously talked in quite detail about, what you're offering your members, but what does the actual broader kind of sector look like?
Yeah, so I think the careers sector, so when we consider, organizations that are looking to engage with students directly, a lot of places are getting it right and a lot of places are getting it really, really wrong. So students are so used to being on social media. They've got really short form content, short videos that are informative, that are straight to the point. And then you still have some universities and employers that are putting things out on YouTube that are like 10 minutes long. But actually, if they split that 10-minute video down into 10 one-minute videos and put them on as shorts, they'd actually see far more engagement from students. So what we're finding is that there's a bit of a, like a mix match between the way that content's being offered and the way that students want to receive it. So that's one of the things that I think we're trying to overcome from a content perspective when we're talking about reaching students. And then it's a little bit sort of the same but different for us as careers professionals working in schools, because unless you've been on the ground in a school, you don't always know some of the barriers that come up. So for example, I was working with an accountancy firm a few years ago that had written this workshop, and the workshop was fantastic, but the first line of it's log into a computer. It's so hard in a school to get an ICT room where all students can log into a computer and access sort of online resources and things. So there's these challenges that unless you've worked in a school, you don't know about. There's lots of organisations like mine and others that are trying to bridge that gap for the industry, so that the careers industry and what we're trying to do in schools is a bit more understood by employers and organisations who are giving us all this great stuff, but not quite in the format that resonates for us or resonates for the students that we're working with.
Yeah. Would you say that's the biggest challenge then, just to kind of add to what Ryan's saying? Because, before the call, we were obviously chatting about employer engagement and, being on the marketing side in a trust. I do help our schools with employers, and whether that be a talk at sixth form or, giving leads for work experience and careers fairs. But it's still a challenge, and you still, some employers are very receptive of that. Some, they're just not engaging at all. But then everyone says, oh, young people are not ready for the workplace. This has been something I've heard for the last 10, 15 years. But what could employers actually do better, and what could schools and even multi-academy trusts be doing better?
Yeah, so I think from an employer's perspective, one of the things I always say is to trust what the school is asking for. So a lot of employers, usually the bigger ones, to be honest, rather than the SMEs, but they want to work with year 10, 11, 12 and 13. But actually, we see that employers can make loads of impact when they work with Key Stage 3, so years 7, 8, and 9. But when we're speaking to employers, they're like, well, we want to work with year 12, just before they're making decisions about university and apprenticeships and all those things, which is great. And of course, they need the support at that level. But actually, if the school says we really need a talk for year 9, let them make that professional judgment. Because if that's where they see there's going to be the most impact for your industry, then actually they know their school best and they know their students best, and you can have so much impact in those lower years. For example, in most schools, they make their GCSE options in year 9. And having an influence and being able to support students with that is just as important, in my opinion, as sort of year 11 and year 13 decision making. But employers are almost a bit more reluctant, I guess, to work with them when they're in those lower years at school. So that's one of the things that I think employers can do to help, is sort of just trust what the school is asking for. And then the other thing is, one of the things that we try and do a lot in schools is showing the students as many different people and pathways and varieties as possible. There's a saying that goes something along the lines of, you have to see it to believe it. So if a student sees someone who's taken a particular pathway and they resonate with their journey, maybe because they're from a similar background or experienced similar challenges, then they see that that person's been successful. That creates a belief within them that, oh, I could do that as well. So the more you can showcase, the more students are going to resonate. But of course, that also creates more work. But if we just ignore that part, or ignore the work and all the time it takes to like form that event and plan it for a moment, if an employer can bring in, a couple of different people that can speak, whether they're coming towards the end of their career, in the middle of their career, or apprentices and junior roles, they're all really valuable for students to hear about.
Where's the roles in primary schools in all of this? I mean, we've talked quite predominantly about secondary, but my understanding is a lot of research is showing that actually careers and introducing primary school students to a variety of roles is actually one of the kind of key beneficial things to do for kind of the advancement of certain disciplines or specialisms or sectors or anything like that, because I have a 7-year-old daughter, and as far as she's concerned, it's a unicorn tamer or a fireman. They're very limited kind of understanding and careers channels. So where does primary sit in all of this?
So the primary careers education space is a hot topic of conversation at the moment, because like you say, there's a lot of research that's been done to showcase that actually the earlier we start providing students with these sorts of inputs, the sooner they start thinking about it, and then the sooner they're switched on to actually go into, even if just in their day-to-day life, they go to the shop or they go to mum and dad's work or they go wherever they're going, and they start to think about jobs and careers and skills and all the things that, as you say, at the moment, they're not necessarily thinking about. But I think we just have to be careful, and we have to get it right in terms of, we're not going to ask a year 4 student, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, actually we could, and you'd probably get, unicorn tamers and all those fantastic answers. But we don't want to scare them off from careers. We want to introduce them to careers in a way that is supported and informative and fun and engaging, and not like, you could be an accountant if you like maths. That's not what we're trying to do. So I think we've got to get it right.
Do you think the challenge of stereotypes is key as well? I mean, I've got a daughter who's in year 4, and from time to time, it's not that it's a teacher problem, but I think there's a cultural problem where there's certain games and certain topics where it's like, that's what boys do, that's what girls do. And, even from being in preschool, where naturally boys would go and play in the construction and the sand area, whereas girls would go to the home and where there's dolls. And it's, is there enough being done at that level on a day-to-day basis where schools could actually challenge these stereotypes more?
I think that's a really good question. Sorry, Zach. It's a hard one to, I guess, be able to show impact within, because it's a hard thing to measure. We all see it. When, for example, I've got a son and a daughter, so I see it from both sides. And when we go to places, it's always ballet for girls and, I don't know, climbing and whatever it is for boys. And I have no idea why, because my daughter hates ballet. She just runs around and causes chaos whenever I try to take her. So I think there is this sort of natural interest, potentially from the different genders in different things, but it's how the schools harness that and actually showcase to them, well, if you're interested in this, these are the skills you could be gaining, or these are the skills that maybe you've already got, and where could they lead? And then that's often lots of different places. So, sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, no, I was just kind of going to add to that. So focusing more on the skills basis rather than the actual kind of the kind of aesthetics of it. Really, it's like, do you have this skill? Do you have this skill? Do you have this skill? Well, then this is the type of career that you could go into. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's things like, if a girl is creative, we're no longer saying, wow, you should be a hairdresser. If they're creative, well, then maybe they're a really good problem solver and they can come up with creative solutions and they can go into engineering, and it's just making them aware, especially at the primary age. If you like this or if you're good at this, there's loads and loads of options, not just these pink jobs and blue jobs.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, there's tons of good initiatives out there, whether it's STEM, STEAM, the creative arts. The Arts Council do a lot of have invested heavily across education across the country. But I was right, just adding to Ryan's point, that it's very much focused on that secondary age phase. When actually, if there was some intervention earlier, which there probably is in pockets, but it'd be nice to see that, with more of a strategic drive, adding value to the work that you're doing. I mean, do primary schools have careers advisors or people around within a careers background present, providing that service? I imagine that's not in place, but maybe that's one for the new government to pick up at some point as part of their strategy with early years. But yeah, I think it's we're kind of in a common agreement. There's a big need there in the primary age, but I think the work you're doing and the way you've evolved careers education and brought this marketing platform where you're building this community and these resources, but also recognizing the power of community, because as a lot of our listeners will know, we have the MCE Engage platform, which is very much geared for that. And it's more about that community member to community member rather than having somebody going, here's everything that you need. Is that something that you felt that's been a real kind of power shift amongst the careers community too?
Yeah, it is. And the thing is that it's been quite easy. And I know maybe that sounds a bit bad, but we don't have anything else. There is no other community. I think there's one group on Facebook that people can join and sort of share, but there's a lot of marketing posts in there. It's not really about togetherness. It's just about, sharing information like Facebook usually is. And so actually creating that community where people are helping each other, supporting each other, collaborating, is so important. And the thing is that it's easy because everybody in careers loves what they do and we're all working towards the same goal. We all want young people to have successful futures. And it doesn't matter whether they're at our school or the school that's, 5 miles down the road. We all care about all students. And therefore, no one sees that collaboration and that sharing as anything negative, because if I'm helping the careers advisor who works down the road, that means they can better support the, 500 students that they're going to be seeing and speaking to. So we're all working towards the same goal. And the more we work together, the sooner we can get there and help more people.
Yeah, I mean, it really resonates with kind of one of our strap lines, which is competition or community. And we have that real emphasis on, building that, yes, we might be competitor with another school or another trust down the road, but actually if we improve our standards collectively, it's, everybody wins and it improves the, the quality all around. And I always use the analogy, if you compare brands like Apple and Samsung, or, even Apple and Microsoft, the way they've pushed each other on for decades, that's been the driver of innovation. And actually, as competitors, they've both won and established these amazing brands and products and services that we all access. But I mean, I know you're very busy with your schedule. You spin a lot of plates by the sounds of it from what you give us insight to today. But it's been really helpful, really useful, and it's been nice to have a conversation with somebody on the careers world, because there is that a little bit of overlap between what we do as marketing and comms professionals where employers are concerned, but it's nice to have a bit more of an in-depth in terms of how that the wider impact around careers guidance take shape across schools and education. So just final thing from me, where can people find you if they're not already connected with you?
Yeah, so you can go to the Careers People website, of course, and the Career Circle is on there, and it's free to join. So please come and join us, get involved. And then with me personally, my LinkedIn is the best space. So it's just Jessica Pieri, and you can see my name, so you can see how to spell it. And I post a lot on there and share a lot of information. So yeah, please connect.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again for your time today. Thank you, Ryan. Any closing remarks from you, Ryan?
No, just thanks, Jessica. Really enjoyed the conversation. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone for watching. If you are interested in coming on and joining us, if you've got a niche like Jessica that you want to share and can provide value of, then we are interested. We'd love a chat. And I think I might nick Jessica's idea of having a virtual coffee. So yeah, come and join us and reach out to us if that's of interest. But thank you again for watching.